Hey witches, Terra Incognita here. It is Monday on Starting Out Solitary, and this week we are talking about death, suicide, and the afterlife. So, death. That is a huge topic. And there's so many different things to touch on. So let's see if I can break this down into a short video. Dying is scary to me. I don't like thinking of it as being the end. Part of the reason I came to this path and sought out spirituality is because of my fear of dying. And I really wanted to take the time to think about what I believe will happen to me when I die and to reconcile that with my fears and try to kind of face that somehow. In some cases it's worked, and in other cases I kind of made it worse. Okay, so a lot of pagans, when you die, believe in reincarnation. I'm no exception to that. I've actually always believed in reincarnation to some extent, but now I have kind of a different view than I used to. There's like kind of two schools of thought, and one is that you die and then the same soul comes back and is born again as a different life. The other school of thought is that you die and your energy kind of returns to the universal energy, and then it's reborn again. You know, the energy is born again into another life, but it may not be the same energy. It's mixed and mingled with other people and souls and whatnot, because you're just coming from the whole. Either way, it is a cycle. Death is viewed as a cycle. And just like the wheel of the year, just like you see out in nature all the time between the seasons, and I acknowledge that it's a cycle. I understand that I will come back, and that is comforting. But I'm kind of leaning towards the belief that the same soul doesn't come back. It just returns to the universal one, and pieces of it come back mixed with other pieces. And so it's a whole new life. Because that just seems, in my school of thought right now, in my thinking, that seems more like something that makes sense in the way nature goes. I would like it if the same soul came back. But that's not what I think. And so I think that when I die, it really will be the end of this, of me. And that's freaky. So it's natural, but it's freaky. But then, you know, I also am exploring this other theory that I've seen where, you know, your soul passes on and then it ascends to a higher dimension. You know, and so as you become enlightened and learn all these things, you can ascend to higher and higher dimensions, in which case it would be the same soul with the same soul memory once you die. It's an intriguing thought. And so I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm still exploring it, but sometimes I think that that's just our way of coping with the end by making something that continues on. So I don't know. That's just my own personal thought. But I do believe in reincarnation. I do believe that we come back. There's no official like pagan book of death rites and rituals. So from what I understand, you pretty much you still do whatever you want. You know, cremation or burial, or quite frankly, I want to do the thing where they put you in a boat and push you off and then shoot flaming arrows at you. I think that would be freaking awesome. I just wonder what kind of permitting that would take. But, you know, death, it is a touchy subject for a lot of people. It's not something we really want to think about. But I do think it's important to be prepared. And I was reading articles about this before I did this video, and they were talking about how pagans in particular because we view it as a cycle, we don't view it as the end, we're less likely to be prepared for death. And I don't necessarily think that's true, but just in case, you know, think about life insurance, think about, you know, what's going to happen when you die, and make sure your loved ones know what to do and where your important information is. And so be prepared. Doesn't matter what religion you are or non-religion, always, you know, be prepared, and don't leave your loved ones with a big, huge mess to clean up when you're gone. But no, I don't know of any like formal ritual pattern that we follow as pagans. There's suggestions and ideas. And actually, I'm trying to think, I bought a book. Here it is. I wanted to show you. When I first started out, I bought this book. I still haven't read it. It's called In the Service of Life, and it's supposed to be a Wiccan perspective on death. It's by Ashleen Ogaya. I don't know how you say that. Ogaya. I don't know. Anyway, I bought this because it was about the time that my grandfather was getting sicker and sicker, and it was just before he passed. And I thought, well, maybe this would be a good book to read to help me cope with it. But when your loved ones are sick and dying, you don't really have a lot of time for reading. Most of your time is spent taking care of them. Oh, check it out. This is my new one-eyed chihuahua. His name is Sparky. Isn't he cute? This is his missing eye. Here's his good eye. Hi, Sparky. And I have 3 doggies and 2 kitties. I'm so excited. Anyway, that has nothing to do with death and dying. I just love my babies. But so I bought this book, and I haven't read it yet, but there is some interesting information here that I can't wait to, you know, go through. There's songs and prayers and practical things to do when you're dealing with death. There's even like a list of things you can go through to help you, kind of like a little checklist, which kind of sounds morbid, but you know, it's a practical way of dealing with death. And then of course it's, you know, from a pagan perspective. So that's interesting. And, I will be reading it. I think it's probably better to read those things when you're not dealing with the dead or dying, because you can look at it from a clear point of view. And suicide, that is another thing that is kind of, you know, people are on different sides of it. Some people who follow the Wiccan Rede think that, you know, it kind of falls into the an ye harm none. But with the whole an ye harm none and the threefold law, so you commit suicide, you're harming yourself, you're harming your loved ones after you're gone. Does that, I mean, how does that bounce back on you once you die? Do you not reincarnate? Do you come back with some kind of karmic baggage? You know, I don't know how that would work if it fell into that threefold law. But I don't know. I don't think, I obviously don't believe in hell or eternal damnation or anything like that. So I don't think that you die and then you're punished and burned in hell or anything like that. I think you just die, and it's like everybody else who dies. It's sad, it's tragic, because it is the end of a life, but I don't think you go to hell. Summerland, people talk about Summerland. From what I understand, that is actually a fairly new concept that came about with, you know, Wicca in the, what was it, the 50s or whatever, that it was invented. And so Summerland is supposed to be this plane that your soul goes to when you die, and then you choose to help other souls transition, or from there you're reincarnated. So it's kind of like a waiting room. It's supposed to be this beautiful eternal, you know, plains and fields of grass and flowers and meadows and blah blah blah. I don't know. I kind of think that, I don't know. I'm still working on it. I'm still exploring it. There's so many questions, and we'll never know the answers. So, but it's just such a big topic. And when I start thinking about it, my brain just goes crazy in all different directions, because I think of all these possibilities. But, you know, I think that all we can do is do the best we can do while we're alive, be the best we can be, try to make sure we do all the things we want to do, and live our lives the best we can, because whether or not we do reincarnate, this is our last times as us, and that's it. Which is why suicide is so tragic, because it's the last time you're you, and you choose the out. And I wish it didn't get to that point for people, but sometimes that's the way it is. And I think that all we can do is help each other through those times. You know, if our friends or loved ones are dead or dying, just be there for people and be the shoulder to lean on, and respect, you know, whatever wishes they had in place when they died. So that's pretty much it. I don't think it was probably very helpful, but that's my perspective. Anyway, I will see you next week. Blessed be.